Hello there and welcome to the Double Zero Challenge channel. We do just one thing on this channel, and that is to take these two dice, both D10s, and we see how long it takes before we can roll a double zero as noted on this notepad. If you would like to play along, please write down your guess now. All I ask is you don't disclose it in the comments, let other people watch the video and find out for themselves. There'll be a few other things to explain as we go along, but we have odds against us of 1 in 100. Of course, under real world conditions, that may be significantly more, but also less. So let's find out where we stand today. Rule number 1. And that's a 2 and a 6. I'll call them all out as we go along. And that's a 2 and a 4. And we have a 3 and a 2. And that is a 3 and a 6. And that's a 4 and a 7. 8 and a 1. Sometimes happens with that cup, it just slips out by itself. And that is an 8 and a 4. And we have a 5 and a 6. And an 8 and a 3. And an 8 and a 9. A 3 and a 2. And that's a 7 and a 1. An 8 and a 1. A 2 and a 3. Oops. There's minimal editing here, so if I drop my pen like that, you will likely see it. A 2 and a 6. And that's a 5 and a 6. That's a 0, but it's also a 3. Remember, we're only looking for a double 0. We will note down any other doubles we encounter along the way, just for fun, just to see how often they occur. But otherwise, it's double 0 that we're looking for. And we have a 1 and an 8. And that's a 1 and a 3. And we have a double 2, so we'll mark that on the doubles pile. That is a 9 and a 7. A 3 and 8. And that's a 5 and an 8. And a 4 and a 2. We have a 6 and a 9. And that's an 8 and a 3. We have a 0, but we also have a 5. Oh, not going to count that. That is a 5 and a 3. We have a 1 and a 5 there. And that's a 0, but it's a 2. That's an 8 and a 2. A 3 and a 7. And that's a 0, but a 7. It's a 0, but a 7. I have 4 and a 2. And that's a 2 and a 5. We have a 3 and a 2 there. and that's a 7 and a 1, 5 and a 6, and that's a 2 and a 3. We have a 6 and a 1. It's a 0, but it's also a 3, so it doesn't count. 6 and a 1. And we have a 5 and a 2. And that's a 2 and a 9. 5 and 8. And that's a 0, but it's a 6. As we approach 50, by the way, every 50 rolls, we do a massive big one with 2 hands. Not just yet. Uh, come back in a few throws time. 4 and a 5 there. And that's a 4 and a 3. And the big one for 50, that's a 7 and an 8. So we carry on for roll 100. That's a 7 and a 5. And we have an 8 and a 4. 5 and 8. And that's a 4 and a 3. 4 and a 9. That's an 8 and a 2. 4 and a 3. 8 and 3. 5 and 9. And that's a 0, but a 7. Double 1 there, so we'll sling that on the doubles pile. And that's a double 2 there, so we'll put it on the doubles pile. And that's a 2 and a 6. 3 and a 2. And that's a 6 and a 3. 2 and 8. And that's a 1 and a 4. We have a 0, but we have a 6. 3 and a 1. And that's a 1 and a 9. We have an 8 and a 3. And a 5 and an 8. That is a 1 and a 6. And it's a double 0. Ha, fantastic. So 50, 60, 74. That's 74 rolls, so slightly beating the odds of 1 in 100. Only 3 doubles along the way, so that is less than you would expect statistically. But then, of course, statistics do not reflect the real world, as any lottery player knows. So thank you very much for watching this video. You take care and roll on next time.